Okay, hi sluts. Pussy, mind, body, spirit, soul. What is slut camp? Let's get into it. Blocked immediately. Welcome back. Hi sluts, welcome back. New episode. Camp Counselor Emma, we're back. We're ready to fucking go. Today, we have a little bit of an abnormal, funky, sexy setup, and we're gonna make my personal favorite drink, a skinny margarita, because oh my God, I don't think you can see me right now. I'm so fucking skinny. Okay, that's how skinny you are when you drink a fucking skinny margarita. Should do it. Obviously, I would pick a different Takiki if I had more options, if they had smaller versions, but this one's okay if it's cheap. Sponsor me regardless. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I learned this the hard way. As you can tell, I'm extremely blonde. And one time I shook a margarita with like a soda, and you know what happens when you do that. So we're just gonna shake it with the lemon. ASMR. Okay, sluts, let's shake it. Okay. Now we have our slut elixir. Here you go, bitch. Okay, now that we have our slut elixir, we have to do our slut affirmation. Of course, obviously, duh. We have a really, really, really fucking good one today. So I felt inspired when I was writing this episode because I was listening to our girl Cupcake, you know, Deep Throat by Cupcake, like hump me, fuck me, daddy better make me choke, you know, our girl. We have Kim Petras and we have Cupcake. Those are our two girls. Cupcake, she's on deck. It's her turn. So I was going through some of her lyrics because I feel they're very slut camp-esque. And I settled on one. And I also went to her like lyric analytics little section just to hear what she had to say about this one. So, slut affirmation. This is what you're going to think before you go out, when you're doing your makeup, when you're taking your shot, whatever the fuck you're doing. You're on a walk. You're at the fucking dentist. I don't know. High self-esteem pussy. It's a dream pussy. Okay? What does that mean? High self-esteem pussy means, she says, I'm not going to ask you, oh, did you come? I already know you came, motherfucker. Oh, is my pussy good? No, I already know it's good. I have high self-esteem pussy, which some of you bitches need. Don't be asking questions. No questions during sex at all. Period, bitch. I love that shit. Okay? That's your slut affirmation. Don't ask questions during sex. Don't ask if he came. I mean, it should be fucking obvious. Although, slight tangent, one of my guy friends told me that he faked his like orgasm and like pretended that he like came in his hand and like wiped it on his chest because the sex was like bad and he wanted it to be done. Never heard that before in my entire life. What the fuck? Okay, slut affirmation, high self-esteem pussy. It's a dream pussy. Cheers, bitches. All right, we have a juicy episode for you today. And, might I say, that very soon, as these are pre-recorded, we have guests coming. In this episode, we're talking about first date etiquette, because I know some of you bitches need that, situationships, and their development into relationships, perhaps or not perhaps, and when you should or should not ask the what are we question. Okay? Big episode, fun episode. Let's fucking go. First motherfucking date etiquette. You meet a man at the bar, at the club, at a family reunion, on an app, after some small talk or no talk, he asks you to get drinks. That is the scenario. There's like a weird debate, I feel, over drinks versus dinner as a first date. And like one of my friends is like a huge foodie, so she'd rather go on a dinner date with a guy. Honestly, like I fucking get it because what the fuck, free dinner? Fuck yeah. But personally, I'd rather take a free, skinny, spicy margarita. So, also, alcohol is fun. So, first date, or it's drinks. We're getting drinks at the bar. He should choose the bar. I mean, he could be like, where do you live? And then pick your favorite bar around there. I'd rather them just tell me like when and where I need to be. I think that's hot. I think that's like the way it should be. let's say the date goes well, so well that you're like maybe a little drunky, maybe you're like feeling the vibes, maybe there's a little touchy touch. Question is, do you go home with them? If yes, I just want you to be prepared to never see them again. Okay, that's just kind of the way that it goes. If you do end up going home with them on a first date, sleeping with them, you just cannot have the expectation that they're going to be like texting you good morning every single day after that, because it's a long-winded answer, but essentially the psychology of men is that they're like, okay, cool, like this girl put out. Although I have heard men being like, I am dating this girl, we're getting married, and I fucked her on the first date. However, it's very fucking rare. So I would just play your cards nicely. If you do like this man and see it going somewhere, I wouldn't quote unquote put out, but that's just me. I feel like there's multiple opinions. Do sleep with them on the first date. Don't. Just don't expect anything is what I'm saying. If you do not choose to sleep with them, the whole, do I send the text? Do I wait for him to text me? Like, do I text him, had a good time, etc. It's a hard question, and it's a hard pill to swallow, because I've been in multiple situations. Like, I've done both. I've waited for the text. I've sent the text. I will say, as y'all know, as an Aries, I like to compete. So sometimes my like very toxic trait is like, if they don't text me within 1 hour of the date, I'll like shoot them a text basically telling them what they were already going to tell me, which is probably like, had fun, not the girl for me, peace out. And I'll be like, had a really good time, it was so nice to meet you, but I don't think I see it going anywhere, just because I'm literally a cunt. Like, I don't know. Sometimes it's fun to get a free drink and do that. However, if you do the option where you wait for the text, I do say you need to give it a time frame. I've said before, if a guy doesn't text you within 72 hours of a first date, he probably doesn't want to like anything to do with you. I still think that's the case. If it's like, if he's not making plans with you on the first date to have another date, he probably doesn't want one. That's just kind of like how it is. If he's not signifying like, oh, next time we should do this, or what are you doing next weekend kind of thing, like, there needs to be inclination that that's going to happen, or else you can kind of expect the worst, I would say. When you hook up with a guy on the first date and that becomes casual, they honestly, truly will probably not see more with you. Truthfully, this is like what I say to all my friends. I'm like, within the first like 2 weeks to a month period of seeing a guy, that you'll know if he wants to date you or not. If he's not giving you signs that he wants to date you, which we'll talk about later, girl, move on. Like, get your roster, like, ignore, deny. Like, you kind of just have to distract yourself, because there's so much psychology about it. It's so interesting. Anyways, okay, we'll come back to this because this is a larger conversation. These are just things that I'm talking about for a first date. So the next one that I think is very fucking interesting, and that I have multiple friends with multiple opinions, and I have a very stark, like, black and white opinion. So I think that you can have a different answer to this. I just think this is the right answer. When it comes to paying the check, we see this all the fucking time on like TikTok and social media. Never fucking ever in your fucking life offer to split the bill or pay. There is absolutely no fucking reason why you just spent 4.5 hours getting ready, wearing more makeup and more skincare and more expensive fucking clothing on your body, probably some fucking Skims. That's probably more than he makes in a fucking year in you. And you're gonna ask him, oh, do you wanna split? No! What the fuck? He probably just picked a shirt out of his fucking laundry basket, put it on, and maybe looked in the mirror once and walked out the door. Girl, that's my fucking TED Talk. If I literally spent 4 hours getting ready and all of the products on my face, body, and vagina cost more than your rent, you can fucking pay for my skinny margarita. Cool? I think so. I think that's fair. Here's a tip if you're like, okay, I want to try this, but I get really nervous and really guilty, and I feel like, fuck, like, maybe our drinks were like too expensive and like blah, 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 whatever. Like, something in your head is basically telling you like, I should offer to pay. What you do is come to the date with the most insane story in your repertoire, something that's like so interesting that has a great hook. And don't tell it until the check comes. And when the check comes, you burst into the craziest fucking story of your life. So he's so distracted, he doesn't know what's going on. He's putting his card down like it's already gone, like it's already paid for, and you're like, mic drop. The next thing on a first date you should not do is let the conversation get like too deep. I've had times where I go on dates with guys and I'm suddenly like their fucking therapist, and like we're talking about their childhood trauma, their parents' divorce, like a death in the family. Like, don't let it go there. Like, I know you feel like you're opening up to them and it's like, oh, they're wanting to tell me these things. Like, oh, it's like they want me to know about them. No, they just cannot talk about these kinds of things to like their fucking best friend or their dad or their brother. Like, guys are weird with their like inner thoughts and feelings and like history, and they like just, it's not a thing to talk about as men. So when they go on dates, sometimes it's like an outlet for them to be like, oh, this girl is like willing to listen to me, like talk about shit and like offer advice. I'm not, if I'm your therapist, you better be paying me more than just a fucking skinny spicy margarita. I charge $200 for 45 minutes. Like, it's like, if you wanted me to be a therapist, go on a date with your fucking therapist. I don't know. I just don't think it's good to let the conversation get deep, because that's happening before, and it's kind of just such a turnoff, because I'm like, you got baggage. Seems like you're sensitive, which is good, but it's too much to the point where I'm like, is this gonna get worse? Or am I going to be solving all of your problems? Like, it's not a good vibe. Oh, and then when it comes to yourself, obviously, like, you want them to know a couple chapters about you, not your whole fucking book. Don't tell them about your childhood trauma, your ex-boyfriend's death, etc. It's like, imagine like you're writing your college personal statement over again, and you need to stand out in a creative, mysterious, and sexy way. Okay? So like, come with questions, come with stories, come with like an elusiveness that's like, but you don't have to prepare this every single time. You could literally have the same first date over and over again and bring the same fucking person every single time, and it'll work differently every time. So just making sure you're standing out, but still staying mysterious and sexy and creative and awesome, which you already are. So you just don't need to release too much information, because honestly, too much information is for your boyfriend. My favorite topic, the first date outfit. This is something that I feel like not a lot of people think about too much, because the first date outfit is like, it's like, oh my God, it's like so fucking hot outside. It's so cold. So like, we're going here, we're gonna be sitting down. There's so many circumstances in which a first date could take place that it's like so fucking hard to settle on one thing. I find when I go to drink dates, there's a specific outfit. And if I'm going to like an outdoor activity or a coffee date, like a daytime date, it's a different outfit, obviously. Day to night, whatever. Make sure you wear something that you fucking just like feel good in, that you feel confident sitting down, especially, as that's probably what you're doing. Like, so don't wear your like tightest dress that like obviously makes you look good when you're fucking standing, but when you're sitting, you actually feel like there is like a small child like trapped inside of you and like kind of clawing at your like stomach to get out. Like, don't wear that. Maybe you wear a top that like kind of accentuates your figure, or like a pretty dress that you feel confident in, like, or a skirt, and like whatever. And I'm not saying you need to have your tits out, because if you do have your tits out, which I do like to do because I do love my tits, they just end up kind of resisting the urge, but like going to look there the whole time. And you have an outfit that I wear every single time, and it depends on if it's the winter or if it's the summer. I kind of like will just like deconstruct it a little bit if it's the summer. So like in the summer, maybe it's like, you know, a cute little black dress, or maybe it's like a cute little skirt and a top. If it's a daytime date, it's like little denim shorts and a tank top kind of thing. Like, you can make it casual, obviously, like do your makeup, do your hair, look cute, feel good. But for the most part, wear the same thing every fucking time. It's fine. I went on a date with a guy and I wore this outfit. Then maybe like 3 weeks later, within that month, I went on a date with another guy to a restaurant in which the previous man did not tell me that he was a waiter part-time and was fucking working at that fucking restaurant. And I was wearing the same outfit. Not only that, which he probably didn't even fucking notice, I was on a date with another guy. Never heard from him again. So You can wear the same outfit. Just don't go to the same bar. Like if a guy's like, let's go to Death & Co. and you like just went to Death & Co. last week and like the outfit that you want to wear, suggest somewhere else. The other thing is what you order. And this is particularly if you're getting drinks. So I think girls struggle sometimes with drink orders because obviously like the classic, a margarita, a tequila soda, a vodka fucking cran. Like I think there's 4 or 5 drinks that girls order on rotation and they've seen it before. Like maybe try to be crazy and order like a rum and coke. Whoa. Like step out of the circle, order a rum and coke. Or if you don't like that, I don't know. I feel like men for some reason like a lady who orders something a little dark and smoky. So if you've ever tried and liked bourbon, whiskey, mezcal, etc., dabble. They're paying for it. You don't have to like it. If you sip it and you're like, fucking ew, send it back or have them do it. But I love a mezcal Negroni. That's my favorite. And that's not my like first drink of the night. That's like my like fuck me drink. Okay. Every girl has like a fuck me drink. Like once you have this drink, like it's over. Like legs open, time to go to bed with them. Getting a martini is hot too, I would say. Don't fucking order an espresso martini on a date. We're over that. We need to stop ordering those. Like, just do cocaine. Like, I don't know. Like, however, you need to know how to order a martini correctly and like know what you're doing. So like if the waiter's like, you know, you're like, oh, can I get a martini? And they're like, what kind? And you're just like, maybe have some knowledge, like you want gin or vodka. I'm not a fucking bartender, so I'm not going to tell you how to order a martini, but get some like slutty, whorish, dirty, disgusting, filthy martini and like order it like that to the waiter and maybe they'll find that endearing. I don't know. Get a martini or get wine. For example, I went on a date with this guy one time and he took me to a fucking wine bar and had the audacity to, when the waiter came over and I was like, can I get orange wine? Which, sorry, I'm from fucking LA and I drink skin contact. Ordered orange wine and the waiter's like, you know, what's the vibe? And I was like a little more funky and he was looking at me like I had 7 heads. Like he was like, what the fuck was that interaction? What's orange wine? What's funky? Like what's going on? I was like, okay, so clearly this doesn't matter to you. But I think guys think it's hot when girls have like knowledge of alcohol or like knowledge of wine, knowledge of like how to order their martini. Like that just shows that you're like sophisticated and with it and know what's up. And you're like, can I get a vodka Red Bull? Like, ew, no, you're not 17. Try and refrain from the fuck me drink is what I'm saying. Unless you realize midway through that that's what you want out of this man. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like if you are on this date and you're like, well, you know, we're not really jiving personality-wise, but damn, he's hot and I wonder how big his dick is. Get that fuck me drink and fuck that man and then never talk to him again. We'll get there. That's the fucking duck theory, okay? We got more on that later. Okay. We talked about the text a little bit before. The text is the dreaded, like, you know, it was so fun meeting you, but blah, blah, blah. I don't see this moving forward, etc. I, weirdly enough, have not talked about this yet, but like the whole thing we see on TikTok, that like bucket theory where men go on a date with you and they'll put you in a bucket, like hook up, date, not anything, friend, if even, I don't know. Men usually know within like 30 minutes of talking to you that like they either want to date you, fuck you, or none of the above. So, and girls do the same thing too. When we see guys, we're like, hot, I'll start talking to them. You're like, no idea what you're saying, but you're so pretty. It's fine. Fuck. Not date. Whatever. It's like a psychological thing. Your brain starts to like produce oxytocin when you're talking to someone. This is a crazy thing. We'll talk about later. But if you do really want to text them and see if they'll bite, if they'll hook on to your line, all you need to say is basically like, I have this thing that I typically will like copy and paste to men. All my friends know me as having like fantastic one-liners and like crazy things to say to men that they always need to respond to. So listen closely. It's not crazy. It's just basically like, if this isn't the case that you want to send that text and you're like eager to see them again and you're like, oh my God, like you could just be like, I had a great time flirting with you, blank, their name. Men love to hear their fucking name. I don't know why. They like are obsessed. Like if you're like, I had a great time flirting with you, Josh, Zach, Cody. Would love to do it again. That's it. flirting with you is like playful and serious and sexy and cute. Saying their name is hot, would love to do it again, is period. It's simple, it's professional, it's slutty in just the right way. If you do not want to send the text, give them, like I said, 48 to 72 hours. If you hear nothing, it's dead on the end of the line, consider them dead. DNR, do not resuscitate. Block them, delete their number, do what you need to do, but like, fuck them. Or fuck them. But that's basically all that is. Next topic of today's episode. Situationships. God, the S word that we hate. Situationships. Could they become relationships? Not. We're going to talk about it. Here is my steaming, boiling, hot fucking take. They totally could. Don't fear. However, super fucking rare. Super fucking, like 98% of the time, like they're not going to become a relationship. My number one thing that I always say, all my friends know this, I say it to the fucking rooftops, I'll die on this hill. I don't think you should ever be introducing your situationships, not relationship, not like man I just met. If you just met a man and you're like, let's play, and then your friends are out, like, that's fine. I'm saying you've been seeing this man for like 3 months. There's not attachment. There's no commitment. It's seemingly like just dragging on, and you're like, no, but I like, you know, maybe there's still something there, because like we've all been there. I've been there several times. Don't introduce your situationships to your friends. I think it's a bad omen. I think it's like a weird concept that's kind of just like, is it worth my time? Is it worth their time? Is it worth my friend's time? Probably not. Just because if it is a situationship, which we'll get to, like what that means and what the psychology like behind a situationship like really is, like it's, and like I said, 98% of the time not going to lead to a relationship. So that's a hot take. However, I will say I'm like the final boss. I always say this for my friends when it comes to like boyfriends. I'm like, you're legit, literally fucking not allowed to have a boyfriend until I meet them. Like I'm your father or something. Like I have to give the final blessing. I'm the final boss. As you can tell, I'm fucking terrifying. Situationships. This is kind of more into like what they are, how you know you're in one, etc. Situationships may like basically make you feel like the same connection that you'd feel in a normal relationship and the independence that comes with being single. What I mean by that is you feel like you can go out and date people and you don't feel tied down to someone or like wondering what they're doing every single night, but you're also feeling like a connection with someone sexually, mentally, physically, spiritually, whatever. However, there's no label, there's no commitment. So some people really like situationships because it like allows them the freedom to be independent and do what they want. But then your brain doesn't like gray area. Your brain likes black and white. And so when there's gray area, your brain is like panic. Like your brain's like, I'm obsessed with them. They're making you release so much oxytocin that one person is always going to be freaking out. And that's that whole like anxious attachment style, basically. Anyways, if you're not clear on the nature of the involvement with this person, it cannot progress. Essentially, what I just said, brains love black and white, no gray area. So a situationship essentially really fucking hurts our brains. This is really interesting. I was doing some deeper research because I've read, Why Men Love Bitches, and I've read the attachment style book. I forget what it's called. Everyone fucking reads it. I know my like attachment style. I feel like we should all just like go to war, get drafted. Like, why are we talking about attachment styles? Like, it's like so fucking first world problem. Anyways, situationships are kind of always connected with having a more avoidant attachment style, which essentially just means like you're reluctant to like get close to others, or you like being independent, and you might feel like smothered or confined in a committed relationship. And maybe that's just on the guy side. So like on the other end of a situationship is the anxious person who's like having the oxytocin release, having that like, I want something with this person. And then the avoidant is like, no kind of thing. So it's very fucking common in a situation. That's the reason that it is a situationship, is because one person is anxious and the other one's avoidant, basically. So if you do have the more anxious attachment style, like the opposite is true. So you probably aren't enjoying all of these like ambiguous relationships or non-reassurance in your relationships with people. So like if you are like, for me, for example, I'm anxious avoidant. So like in my long-term relationship, which we'll get to soon, it was very push and pull. It was like tug of rope. Like it was like I'm coming onto you strong and you're fucking like get the fuck away from me, or it's the reverse. They're coming onto me and I'm like get the fuck away from me. So it's a struggle all the time. It's like crazy because you're just in all you're not secure in your relationship. So with situationships, you end up with someone who is avoidant, and that's just not, it doesn't really work, especially when they're not like looking to commit and they love their independence because they have some sort of issue with committing to people. And that seems like all men. So I don't really know what they need to work on, but it's something. A person with an anxious attachment style, which is like a lot of the girls, why would someone like that end up in a situationship? The short answer is essentially like trauma. And it's like not like trauma in like what you would think in the sense of trauma. It's just more so like little things that have happened to you with men that just continue to make you feel more like anxious and more just like tight knit or stressed, or like anything that happens with a guy, you're like, fuck, oh my God, like he's fucking another girl, or like, oh my God, he's always like doing this, like red flag, whatever. Like it makes you kind of want to latch onto them a little more. Like, why aren't you answering me? Why are you like, what are you doing? Like 24/7. That's totally normal. Like literally happens to me all the time, happens to my friends all the time. It's a thing with girls. You hear it all the time. So I found this cute little diagram and it says signs you're in a situationship. There's irregular or superficial contact. So they're not texting you regularly. They're kind of like, and I mean regularly, like 1 to 2 times a day being like, hey, what's up? How you doing? Hey, what's up? How you doing? Like short conversation. It doesn't need to be like we're texting every 5 minutes. Like, oh my God, I just fucking shit. Like, oh my God, how big was it? Like if that's what you're texting with your situationship, like you should just get married. Like there's something wrong with you or that person. Like I don't know what's going on if you're talking about shit. No labels or exclusivity. They will not make moves towards you to be like, I want X. I want to see you, just you. I want exclusivity. I want this, blah, blah, blah. A lot of men struggle with that because it just like is like you're committing and it's like, but Jessica, but Brittany, like if a man is like into you, like he will be wanting to be exclusive with you. Like he'll tell you early on, like, oh, I want to pursue this with you. Like I like seeing you. All my friends that are in relationships have had this said to them specifically. Another thing, there's no clear boundaries of things. So like things that bother you, things that they do, things that you do that bother them. Like it's there's no clear line of like what can we not do. Alongside the irregular or exclusivity, all of those things, the lack of integration into each other's lives. So let's say you guys both work a 9 to 5. You're both in corporate America. You both have separate lives outside of each other. There's no integration. They're not inviting you to like their friends' things. You're not inviting them to their, like, again, it's like, it's a hard line to walk, but if they're not trying to integrate you, like even telling you like, how was work today? This is bothering me. My boss said this to me and it really upset me, blah, blah, blah. If you can't feel like you can say that to them and they're going to actually listen to you and give you a genuine response, or the other way around, then like, what, like where's the comfortability? It's not there. And finally, like the relationship just like does not grow in either direction and it doesn't end. So like, for example, with me and my New Year's Eve mans, I will say, I get this question all the time. Why do you date him? Why do he wants to date you? No, because I'm aware of this kind of thing. I made it very clear to him and he made it very clear to me when we first started talking. I even tried. I was like, let's get drinks. Like I like suggested a date and he was like, but I also wasn't like more so saying like, let's fucking date. I was more so like, let's just get a drink and like see what the vibes are, because we had a really good conversation on New Year's and I was like, maybe. He immediately like shut it down and was like, oh, I'm like, just want to let you know, like I'm not looking for anything, but like super down to get drinks with you. And I was like, Honestly, I appreciate the transparency and I respect it. And I agree. Let's have fun, whatever. Mutually beneficial. So we get drinks and like we never left the four walls of my apartment ever again. I'm just kidding. But it's been a long time and the terms and agreements have worked pretty well, except for this like 1 month where he like spazzed out, which I talked about last time. That was crazy. So that's situationships. They're complicated and you experience a lot of them. If you're someone who experiences like mostly situationships, you're in an anxious avoidant attachment situation and like you gotta be aware and you need to be aware of them. So recognize the signs and get yourself up. When should you ask or not ask, what are we? Here's what I have to say about asking the what are we. And I think everyone can agree with this. Like, it's like, I would never say to a man straight up, like, what are we? But I would think it all the time. I'd be like, does he want something more with me? Do I want something more with him? La, 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 la. And his brain's like, boobies, ass, titties, mommy milkers. And you're like, does he love me? Does he not? Does he love me? Does he not? With a fucking flower. Like, it's like so funny the way that girls' brains work and the way men's brains work. You should never ask a man, what are we? To a man that is literally like asking them if they want to fall or a spring wedding. Like, they're literally going to shut down. Like, it'd be like, this girl wants to fucking marry me. Like, get the fuck away from me. Oh my God. You can't ask that. We'll get to a way that you can ask something similar, but never just straight up be like, what are we? Don't. Okay. The proper way to find out how a guy is feeling about you, because you can figure it out on your own. You can use context clues. It's doable. Identifying the signs. Okay. That's the first step. Number 1, like I said before in our little diagram, does he reach out to you or keep conversation flowing often? Like, is he texting you 1 or 2 times a day, just kind of checking on you, what's up, whatever, like, or does it go days without, like, is it intermittent communication basically? Like, does he go days without texting you? Is he just texting you being like, is he huge delays in his text? Like, I get it. I'm a person who doesn't respond for like 24 hours. So like it happens sometimes. You just like let it go. But if they were someone who wanted to keep talking to you, they would keep the conversation going. Number 2, does he ask you to make a plan right after that date or on the date for the next time you're going to see each other? If no, probably not going to happen. On that date, he could be like, what are you doing this weekend? Let's like go hiking or like something. Like, I don't know where you are. But if a guy is on the first date or on a second date or a third or fourth or 17th, like whatever, being like, what are you doing this weekend? We should do this next. Like I said before, that's good. That's a good sign. They probably want to see you again. And if you're also down, like, that's also a good sign. You'd be like, okay, perfect. This works. If he's not doing that, if he's then texting you, maybe like the next day is a Friday and you're like, what are you doing this weekend? What are you up to tonight or this weekend, whatever? And he says, I'm busy, or I'm busy with the boys or whatever. And he's vague about it. Not good. Or does he kind of give specifics and then ask to hang out with you one night? Like, what are you doing Saturday night? Let's like hang out or something. If he's giving you future plans, that's like promising for le future. Does he remember things about you? Does he remember details of your conversations? Does he remember details that you've spoken to him about, like interests that you have, hobbies? Like, oh, I remember you like this, like blah, blah. Like bringing up little things like that shows you like, oh, he is like paying attention to me and like what I'm saying. Basically, you'll know if he's courting you within a month or less of seeing this man. It's really fucking hard to get out of the talking stage. This is the thing that we're in forever, and that's where it turns into a situationship. After your first date, and if you continue to go on dates, like you're in the talking stage. You're getting to know them, you're talking about maybe like surface level family things, or like what they do for work, or like what their interests are, what their dream career is, whatever. Like talking stage is like so fucking boring to me because I feel like I'm seeing 9 different therapists. Like they got to figure out what's wrong with me over and over again. So the talking stage is essentially just a long-term compatibility test. And if you in this talking stage find yourself starting to like allow things within a man that you normally wouldn't, also known as political views, personality non-alignments, hobbies that you don't really like, drugs, etc., red flags that you kind of like begin to ignore, probably not gonna work, babe. Lifestyles kind of have to align, and if not, like, problem. You hit problem area. It's gonna happen regardless. So it's either like you confront the thing that you don't like about them and see like what's the vibe, or you just kind of like know that it's not gonna progress in a good direction. Notice things that you don't like about them, and if they're things that are like really, really important to you, really big deal breakers that do not align with your lifestyle, or things that you think and have strong opinions about, it's hard. If the talking stage is going past 3 months, it ain't gonna stop talking, and it'll start talking to other girls too. All in all, like, situations can be situationships, and these like types of conversations that you have, like the what are we, like, it can be really scary to like develop feelings for someone, because you're like, oh my god, fuck, I like can't stop thinking about them all the time, like, you don't want to lose like what you have with them, obviously, like, or that feeling, but the last thing you want for yourself, like, is to sit in a prolonged uncertain thing and that transition into something unwanted and confusing, into a situationship essentially, and has you kind of thinking about them all the time when you shouldn't be, when you should be focusing on like yourself, your career, your friends, your hobbies, like whatever, and like this man's taking up your mental space, like it's not going to end well. So that's all I have to say about that. Once you've identified all of the above and you're feeling secure in the fact that he does want you, let's say it goes that direction, is when you can opt for something. And this is the text you can send, like, if you are wanting to send that, like, what are we, like, type of vibe. I came up with this. I don't know if I like quite like love it yet, but I think it's on the right track. And I kind of am like, hey, blank name, or you can just say hey, depending on like how casual. I'm gonna throw up. Hey, I've been I would never send this. No, I'm kidding. Hey, I've been having a lot of fun with you. I'd really like to get to know you more. But before I do that, I want to make sure we're on the same page with each other, or something of that nature in that last sentence. Like, I want to make sure we're on the same page. I want to make sure we're aligned if we're in corporate America. Let them answer that. Basically, like, they're probably going to come back and be like, I feel the same way. Like, you know, I feel like XYZ. Like, it'll kind of get them to start talking. Or they could just simply be like, what do you mean? And then you can kind of just basically state what, because if you want something out of this, like, if they run the opposite direction, like, it was never gonna happen in the first place. So it's kind of like, well, we both made clear in the beginning, which is what you should be doing regardless. Like, if you're going on dates, like, I would say like second or third date with a guy, like, why are you on Hinge? Why are you doing that? Like, asking them like what they're looking for in like a nonchalant way. Being like, we both made clear our relationship was the end goal from the beginning. So I want to know if you see that with me, because straightforwardness is really important to me. I think it's sexy, whatever. Like, being straightforward is most important to you. You need to make that known to them. If you do not feel the vibe with him, it's probably not it, and you should be exploring other options and not let your brain get hooked on that good oxytocin, because that's what happens when you have situationships. Your brain gets hooked, gets obsessed. You're like, even if, and this is what's the worst part about fucking situationships, if the sex is not even like the best sex you've ever had in your life, why do you keep going back to them? I don't know, our brain's just like, no, but like, it's comfortable, it's good, like, he listens to me, he's funny, he's whatever, like, all of the above, what I just said, basically, like, not worth. Okay, so that's all we have for today's episode. We got really psychological and deep, and this margarita is really fucking amazing. So I hope that you're finished with your drink, and I hope you have a good fucking night, good fucking day, wherever you are. Love you to pieces. Have a beautiful night's sleep with a penis next to you, I hope, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Anyways.